another AIC Productions video. Today I'm finally getting around to a project that I've had some of these parts to do for a year and a half now at this point. I'm going to be upgrading the radio in my mazdaspeed protege. This is the unit I am going with. It is a Pioneer MVH 200EX. This is a very base model. It doesn't have a CD drive or DVD drive. It doesn't have a navigation. It doesn't have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, all that jazz. But I don't want that, or necessarily I don't need that. I needed to do two things: sync to my phone for Bluetooth audio and sync to my phone for Bluetooth. Let the bank go by. I live like a mile and a half from an airport, so a small airport. Anyways, I don't want those things. I need to sync to my phone for my Bluetooth audio and for the occasional phone call sometimes. And I needed to have the appropriate audio output for the subwoofer, which I know it does. And yeah, I like it. I like the way it looks. I've had a few of these Pioneer double-din units for a while in other cars, and I really like them. So then these are the parts I've actually had for a couple of years. This is the mounting kit to mount the double-din. This is the micro bypass to bypass having to use a parking brake. This is the, hopefully I got the correct one, but it's the harness to wire the radio up to so that it matches the factory harness. And then this is a new wiring kit for the subwoofer and amplifier. So the amp or the wires that are there, the person that had this car before me took out the factory amp and put in an aftermarket amp, which must have been big. I don't know what it was because they took it out when I got it. There was no amp. I had to buy one. And so I got one that is a 250 watt amp that matches the same specifications of what was in here. It's not the one that was original to this, but as close as I could get to it. But let's take a look at some of these wires here. So here's the RCA jacks, and you can see that these are broken. They're actually missing the center post. It's just a piece of plastic there when it should be a metal cap on both of those. The other end looks like that too, so I'm going to have to remove that. And then this wire is too thick. It's too heavy of a gauge. It's a 6 gauge wire, and what I needed was a 10 gauge, which is what was factory original on this for that original amplifier. So we're going to rerun the RCA cables. We're going to rerun a 10 gauge power wire for it as well. Then let's go ahead and go to the inside and see what we got going on in there. Alright, so this is the head unit we currently have. It is a dual media player. It plays MP3s off of a USB drive, which I've tried, and it does a terrible job of maintaining any kind of list that you've done. And it always starts over from the beginning. It does sync Bluetooth to my phone, which is nice, but it doesn't have any kind of external microphone. The only mic that it has is right here, and so audio quality is unacceptably bad. It is also an extremely cheap Walmart brand head unit, so it does not output much power. It doesn't power the speakers, and I'm going to probably have to replace my speakers as well, but when I turn left, the right-hand speaker on the driver's door goes out, which is really frustrating. It also isn't installed very well. I can just take it right out, so it's not even installed. It's just sitting in there poorly. And then, of course, this cubby is broken. I have this mounted on here simply because I was trying to troubleshoot, and so I'm going to push this back into the dash, and this all is going to be replaced with a nice double-din radio. So first step that we're going to take is we're going to unhook the battery. So let's get to there. Alright, so under the hood, first thing we're going to do, because we're going to have the doors open a lot and the trunk open a lot, and we're going to be plugging in electrical systems and running wires and stuff, we're just going to take off the power connector. Now while we're in here, I've been wanting to ask this question for a while. If anybody has any suggestions. So I have the strap that holds the battery in place, but it screws onto here. Obviously, That's been broken off in this car. There was some sort of damage here. I don't think it's an accident because this is all original body panels and everything. I think. I mean, they look original. Maybe it's had work. I can't really tell just looking at it. But I'm pretty sure it's all original. But this was broken. This was broken, and the airbox was broken. So I don't know if a battery got loose or, you know, if they jumped or I don't know. But this is only being held in by its weight. Now, I don't drive this very much, so it hasn't been an issue. But yeah, I want to fix that. Then here is the power cable for the the power cable that's currently in there with its fuse. It's got a big old nasty, what is this, 80 amp fuse? Yeah, so we're going to be pulling this. We're going to be pulling those RCA cables, and I'll get started on that. I'll time lapse that as best as I can. I'm working in the garage, which is kind of tight, but hopefully you'll get to see some of that work. Alright, so I figure time lapse probably isn't showing you much because a lot of the work I've done so far has been inside the car. I removed the door sills on this side and on that door. I took out the seat cushion, which you can see over there, and then I was able to remove the I had to remove this whole back parcel shelf up here, and then the side piece right here. So then in the front, oh, and that allowed me to pull out, you see the RCA cord there. And I pulled the power cord as well, but I haven't pulled it through the firewall yet. I'm going to show you why not here in a second. And then I pulled out the radio and the cubby, which are over there. There's the door sill and there's the seat cushion. Alright, so what my thought process is these cords are always a pain to feed through the firewall, so I've electrical taped them together. I'm going to have one of my kids go inside and slowly, ever so slowly, pour on this cord while I feed it through. So that's the next step here that we're going to do to get this installed. Alright, so I didn't even need a kid, and that worked like a charm. There's where I put the two together. Now I just need to cut the tape off, pull the old cord out, and finish feeding through the new cord in a little bit. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to start wiring up the head unit and getting that installed so I can have everything plugged in here, and that way I can run the RCA jacks at the same time I'm running the power cord. So that's going to be the next step. Alright, so I have wired it up. That's the harness going into the car harness, and then this is the part going into the radio. There's the radio. I have the shroud on it to then put in here. But before you actually install it, the most important thing I think at this point is actually turn the car on. I put the battery back in. See if the radio comes on. English. Next. Alright, I have my phone. Let me see if I can Bluetooth to it. Settings, Bluetooth. It's there in the bottom already. That's super easy. Pair, yes. Alright, that was super easy to pair. I was listening to the Rooster Teeth podcast.
I mean, there is one small twist at the beginning, but it doesn't matter. Like, I felt like if they'd gone with the story that they actually tell, it was more interesting than the story that they tried to make you think in the trailer. I remember... One of them was like, comedy about a guy that gets struck. And then the other one was like, yo, this is
Alright, yep.
somewhat sad story about, like,
synced up. And Bluetooth is connected, so we'll go ahead and put this in. Or we'll hook up all the extra wires we need to, and then go ahead and put it in, and then we will run the wires for the subwoofer. This is where I have, make sure you can see this. So that's where I have the microphone. I ran the cord up and around, and it's coming along here, and it's going down this weather stripping on the inside. I just pulled it back a little bit, and the wire went right on in. It's running down and then running underneath. I haven't cleaned it up. I'll be using some zip ties and everything. That's running through to here. And yeah, let's go ahead and get this plugged in get the wires plugged and everything, and then we will do the power and RCA cords for the subwoofer.